Last Friday, General Motors announced a pretty big recall impacting the 6.2-liter V8 engine that is found in many of their full-size SUVs and their trucks, and their half-ton trucks in this case. So you have Silverados, Sierra 1500s, you have the Tahoe, you have Yukons, you have Escalades. And so they're recalling these engines because they found a manufacturing defect that could cause engine failure. And this created a bunch of headlines and a bunch of, oh my gosh, titles on YouTube, and people are freaking out. Hey, it's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. Let's take a breath and calm down and just talk about what's going on with this. Now, ironically, last Friday, I was on my way to Louisiana to interview Vic Shepard on his million-mile Toyota Tundra he did for the second time in a V8 engine. While I was gone, the story blew up, and I read these comments. People were like, well, Tim's going to say all these trucks are reliable, and he's full of it all the time. I didn't say it like that. Let's talk about what this recall is. So my friends over at gm-trucks.com, Josh and Zane Murray, do a great job. They've been covering this since last January. They really got involved in this, I guess, January 2024, really. They've been involved in this. And so they've been following the story quite a bit, the big GM guys, and they did a whole story that kind of broke down what's really going on. So you click on it, and it opens up the story, and they have all the details for you guys here. So it's a massive recall. It's for the 6.2-liter V8 engines, 2021 model through 2024, and SUVs. Okay, so if you own any of these trucks, you need to go to the dealership. You probably had it pop up in your app, or you got an email from GM saying, hey, please bring the truck in. We need to inspect the engine. The development follows a NHTSA investigation. So that's where the federal regulators got involved. And this happens with Ford and GM and Toyota and Honda and everybody. And at some point, they get involved and they make sure the process is being done correctly. And so follow the investigation. GM announced this massive recall. And at the time, when they reported back on it in January 2024, they found dozens of complaints. Just dozens. Not like hundreds and thousands, dozens, pointing to sudden engine failures in vehicles equipped with a 6.2-liter V8 engine. That investigation, the result of it, confirmed the fears that they had from many owners and technicians that there was something wrong with this engine. Again, the 6.2-liter V8's been out for a long period of time, and GM's been building V8 engines for decades and decades. And so this just happens to affect this particular engine. Doesn't affect the 5.3-liter V8, doesn't impact anything other the larger trucks. It's just this particular engine. So GM, what they found was they said that they found a defect related to motor vehicle safety. Well, yeah, that's what's going to happen if the vehicle stops driving. And it says the connecting rod and or crankshaft engine components in these vehicles may have manufacturing defects that could lead to engine damage and engine failure. Okay, so if it's safety risk, right? So engine stops running, you lose propulsion, you could have a risk of a crash. So they're recalling this to make sure you are safe and you're having engine. And so if you scroll down, it says dealers will inspect and necessary repair or replace the engine. Vehicles that pass inspection provided a higher viscosity oil, new oil cap, oil filter, and always manual insert. So what's really going to happen? There's a sheet here that talks about what the dealership's going to do. It closes. And it says safety recall notice right here. And it talks about this is a Bolton, it's federal law that they're going to get this recalled. And then as we know, it is a violation of federal law for a dealer to deliver a new motor vehicle or any new or used item of motor vehicle equipment, including a tire covered by this notification under a sale or lease. So they put a notice out there, hey, dealers, you can't sell vehicles that have this recall. So there's going to be a stop sale on these until you inspect them, and they have to pass inspection. And then they want the ones come back to consumers. And they can talk about the model years and things. So at some point in the manufacturing process, they discovered a defect in the connecting rod or the crankshaft end components. And we don't know the details of that, but I can tell you, but in different plant tours I've been through, you get one station or one person at one station, or the computer messes up a little bit and you're off by like 1/32 or something. It's a cascading effect. It's like a domino effect. It just keeps going and going until somebody catches it later on. And I think what happened in this case was they got some reports from dealerships replacing engines. GM engineers went out there. They studied it. They started tracking things down. And as we saw with other investigations, once you get one that failed and maybe get one here and you get one over there and one over there and starts really picking GM's interest, like what's going on with these engines, you're looking at probably about 2 years by the time you figure out what really all happened. You validate it. You go to the factory, you find the fix. I mean, that's the process works. And so they will look at these as far as repair process. They will inspect and check for a code, a P0016 code. And so the dealership's going to have you bring your truck in. They're going to plug it in. You can see if this code's there. If the code is not set, it's not going, we'll skip the next section, continue step 2. If the code is set and that code is on the screen or in their computer system, they will not pass it out. They'll say, pull aside. You want to quarantine that vehicle, follow procedures. You're going to replace an engine. So it comes down to a code. That's how they're going to inspect these and find defects. So if you don't have that code set, they will drain engine oil and install a new filter. They will fill the engine with a new OW40 oil instead of the OW20. So we're doing a higher viscosity, a little bit higher, thicker oil. Not massively different, but a little bit different oil. They replace the oil fill cap. They'll print the appropriate page for owner's manual insert. They'll find the owner's manual, shove it in there, and then you're done. That's it. Now, there's also a stop sale order issued because of federal law, because you can't sell those engines that have defects. And so that is the process for it. They're going to scan for this for related crankshaft, camshaft misalignment. So if that gets out misaligned, it keeps getting misaligned, you will destroy your engine. Okay, so they know something's out of alignment in the engine causing problems. And I think what's interesting with this story is that, I have people email me now. I've had conversations in the forum. I've been on different Facebook groups. And it's like the same things happened with the Toyota Tundra recall last summer. Very similar things going on. You have some customers who are saying, this is all GM crap. And see, Tim, every new truck is unreliable and they're just building out crap. Okay. You have some people are saying, hey, I got one of these engines. I don't have this code. So am I safe because I don't have this code? Yeah, you are. That's according to GM. You got a good one. Apparently, at some point, there was a span of these weren't good ones. You had bad parts from factory. Okay. Then you have other guys going, you know what? If I ever have a problem with this, I may get a new engine on this deal. I could just claim that the code didn't show up, but hey, the engine failed, same engine problems, boom, I need a new engine. So it's really interesting the different viewpoints you give from people. And I've had people say GM equals general mess. I've had people say GM has less recalls than Ford and Stellantis does. So they actually have a better quality product. I've had people say quality slipping. And I've had people say, well, there's a lot of 6.2 liter V8s out there that don't have problems. So which is it? That's always frustrating thing to try to figure out is how many vehicles are truly affected out of how many vehicles out there. I talk a lot about big picture stuff. I mean, we get a lot of stuff in the weeds where we're like, oh, all this thing's crap and a lot of fear and there's a lot of concern from consumers. What do I do? What do I do? Think about the big picture. How many trucks they sell each year? About 500,000, I think. Well, you can find the numbers, even more like 700,000 for the half-ton trucks. Out of those, the 6.2 liters probably take rate of 10%. So 60,000 trucks. And we've seen dozens of complaints so far on GM pipe and trucks. And we've seen probably maybe 100 to 200 nationwide. So it's a big recall in that it's going to cause people the problem of going to the dealership and having the code scanned. That's a pain in the butt. And I appreciate that. And it's going to raise a lot of questions. And yeah, the stop sale is going to get a lot of people's notice and say, oh, look at the stop sales. Again, 14 years I've been doing this. It happens quite a bit. And GM will learn what the problem was. They'll fix the issue. And in a couple of years from now, be kind of forgotten. Like other things get forgotten. Remember the CP4 fuel pump issue? The one that Bosch built that destroyed Ford diesels, Ram diesels, GM diesels? Yeah, now they switched those fuel pump to different fuel pump. You don't hear about as much anymore. Unintended acceleration, Takata airbags. This stuff happens. It's unfortunate it happens. Automakers hate it. Dealerships hate it. Ownerships hate it. Buyers hate it. Everybody hates it. Nobody likes a recall. It's just terrible how it works out. But really, what we're talking about here is, yeah, it's going to suck for some people. Some people are going to get screwed. Some people are going to be towing a load across Minnesota, and the engine's going to crap out on them, and they're going to be stuck in the middle of nowhere, and they're going to have to get towed in, all these additional expenses. Then you have other people that have no problem with it. So it's going to be one of those things that's going to be back and forth, and it's going to really suck for some people and really be a non-issue for other people. So I'm always cautious about, oh my God, titles and oh my God, bashing, because I just think when you think of things overall in a big market scheme, this is just a recall that's going to impact those engines. I think what GM made a mistake on is introducing a higher viscosity oil. because that's going to create a lot of questions for people about, well, should I be using that oil anyways? Is that oil better for my engine? Should I, if it's more protection, right? So I should just use that. I don't believe your OW20 because we've had these battles online over oil. A lot of people don't like thinner oils. They don't trust it. They think it looks like water. They don't agree with that. The lower viscosity is where they want to be. So that's going to create a lot of questions. It's going to create a lot of questions for the 5.3 liter V8 owners. And it's interesting, the videos I've seen and stuff, nobody's brought this up. You know, when the Tundra got recalled, it was the non-hybrid version of that engine that got recalled. And people were just really off their minds about this. Why is the hybrid not getting recalled, but the non-hybrid is getting recalled? And in this case, why is the 5.3 liter V8 not being recalled the same amount as the 6.2 liter V8 is? I think that's a very valid question. So I think those two things are what I think GM probably messed up with, is doing the higher viscosity oil is probably a cover your butt kind of move by their engineering team, but does create a lot of questions in people's minds about what oil they should be using. And then not having any discussion on the 5.3 liter V8, which never happens in these recalls, which is unfortunate. It never says the 5.3 liter V8 was built in a different line or something different about that engine. So that's going to create questions of those 5.3 liter V8 customers. And then it's going to be, I tell you, it's going to be in about 2 years. I get an email that says, are they still having problems with 6.2 liter V8? That's what's going to happen, because now it's a stain. Now it's something known by the engine, and it's going to constantly show up in Google search results and constantly be a question for consumers. So I just think those two things, like, you know, if you trust the oil before, maybe trust the oil going forward. Don't be changing stuff about midway through the game, right? And then, you know, definitely maybe have a little conversation about the 5.2 liter V8, whether or not that was affected at all by this or it wasn't affected. Just a little sentence. Somebody says not affected. I think make people a lot happier. That's my thoughts on the GM recall, what you need to know. If you have those affected trucks, put your comments down below. I'm curious your thoughts. Are you on the GM quality sucks bandwagon? Are you on all quality sucks new trucks bandwagon? Or are you going, I get a new engine. I got 30,000 miles, 40,000, 50,000 miles on my truck. I get a brand new engine. I feel pretty good about that bandwagon, because it seems like everybody's on a different place with this. So make sure you check other videos up over here, like Vic's from when I did the million mile video that I was gone out of town. Also, make sure you check out the website at pickuptrucktalk.com. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you down the road.